finish these last couple. Thank you, Jennifer, for kind of giving me that update. I had a major brain fart there. All right, but we literally only have 3. There's only a couple slides. So basically where we are is we're in the slide of, let's see, we're going to be in, thank you. We're on page 129, slide of the nerve in cross-X, and there are 4 things that you need to know. And it's right here. You need to know the axon, the myelin, the endoneurium, and the perineurium. So a couple things here right off the bat. What you need to know is when you see this image, this slide, this is a transverse cut of a neuron, of an axon specifically, let me step back. It's a transverse cut of a nerve, right? Which means there's a bunch of axons in here, not just one axon, but multiple axons. So when you look at this, which you can't see very much right now, what you can see though is the perineurium, the pink part around this bundle. The perineurium is analogous to the perimysium that you see within the muscle, the skeletal muscle. But what I want you to notice, and I want you to pay attention to this schema on the right, this drawing here, shows a circle, and then it shows a dot in the middle. That dot in the middle is not a nucleus. Let me repeat this. It is not a nucleus. There is no nucleus in the axon of a neuron. The nucleus is in the soma, and these are all axons. So people are going to look at this and they're going to be like, it's a nucleus. It's not a nucleus. Okay, guys? So these circles, when we're looking at the nerve, and the nerve has bundles and bundles of axons, what you're looking at is a bunch of axons, okay? So all the pink part, which is very hard to see on this image here, all the pink part in between all of these axons, that's what's called endoneurium, just like we have endomysium surrounding the individual muscle fibers, right? So that's what we have here. The axon is the dot that people are going to call the nucleus, which is going to make me sad, but okay. So what I would do is I would write a note and say, this is not a nucleus. This is the axon. The myelin is the white part around the axon because it has a phospholipid portion to that myelin sheath. So it technically doesn't really stain, and that varies somewhat. All right, so that's your major thing here. Axon, myelin, endoneurium, perineurium. There is no nucleus in this list, okay, guys? And there's no nucleus in the axon. So here's an image of the nerve, and it's all labeled, right? All the dark parts in the middle here, those are axons. They're not nucleus. Okay, they are not nucleus. These are axons. Nucleus is in the soma. So all the dark parts here are all axons. So let me cough. Hold on, guys. All right. With that being said, the white space around these axons is the myelin sheath. So the area around that axon in the middle, the white area there, or lightly stained, that's going to be the myelin sheath. Okay, that's what you have here, just called myelin. Okay, and then the pink parts just around these circular parts, the axons, the pink parts in between them is called the endoneurium. Okay, guys? And then here, it's kind of hard to see. That's why you have to, let me see if we have it here. No, you have to kind of look at this one. You can see we've got the perineurium on the outside. You can make out that axon in here with the myelin being the white part. It's just a little bit harder. All right, so that is it. That is your slide of the nerve. Don't tell me that's a nucleus. It's not. So here is the image, and the image on Blackboard that you're going to be studying from, it's similar to this, but it's much darker, and the neurons are much easier to see. So here, the area, what you're looking at here is you're looking at the cortex, the outer part of the brain or the cerebrum. That cortex is going to have it's going to be where we have gray matter. The gray matter is the soma, or the cell bodies of the neuron, okay? And that's why it stains gray or dark, not necessarily gray. So what you see here is kind of this darker staining area. That is, as the label implies, a gray matter. Now, unfortunately, the area over here that has less density of kind of these dark areas, that is the white matter. It's not truly white. In some images it is, but in this case, it's just less dark. Unfortunately, that's kind of how the gradient of gray matter to white matter. But what you see here is that they are in the shape of kind of like this shape for the neuron. And that's the pyramidal neuron. So the pyramidal neuron with a cell body, the pyramidal neuron cell body with nucleus, that's what you're going to see here and here. And it's very, very easily recognizable on the blackboard image. This one I pulled off of soft chalk a while ago. So that's what you have here. Axon and dendrites, all the extensions that we saw previously that we called extensions, you're just going to call them axons and dendrites because it's kind of hard to tell which is which. So basically anything coming off of the soma of the pyramidal cell is going to be an axon and dendrites. That's what it says on page 129 under slide of the gray matter, pre-central gyrus. Okay. And then lastly, just being able to recognize that the area that has that higher density of dark color is the gray matter. And that area that has less of this color, it's kind of more kind of blank, if you will, that's going to be the white matter. Okay. And that's it. Those are your two slides. One thing we didn't do, and we're going to pick up the nervous system later on. We finished that earlier. There's a couple things on exercise 19 does a lot of, we've done a lot of exercise 19 already, but we're going to there's only a couple new things. So that'll make it easier. The skin model, we'll deal with that a little bit later because that means I have to pull it up. Remember, we've already seen it, right? We saw the Pacinian corpuscle or lamellated corpuscle and the tactile corpuscle. That Meissner corpuscle is in the papillary layer of the dermis. You have to go deeper into the reticular layer to see the Pacinian. So we'll come back to that later. There's going to be a couple models that we're going to kind of hit at the end. All right, so that's it. That was 17. Boom, awesome. Now, let's pull up 18. So there's a lot going on in this one. Excuse me. So where are we with 18? So I want you to go ahead and, obviously you have your lab manual out, and you are going to look at page 140. So we are going to knock out all of this today. Okay, so we have to be really, really focused. We got to put on our super focused hats on because I want to knock out part of 19 today as much as we can. Actually, I want to knock out the spinal cord at least. Okay. All right, so that's what we're going to do. So here we're going to do 18. What I want you to notice is that I have yet to see any colored models used as testable material, even though they're on Blackboard. So you can use the colored models to kind of help you out, but I would learn all the beige models, okay? Because I don't want you to focus on one type and then not get the questions correct. So again, I have not seen us use colored models. And we have them in lab and they're on Blackboard. So just keep that in mind. All right, so we're going to knock this out. Where we are, we've got basically a number of brain models that we're going to go through. We've got a ventricle model, median head model, and then the sheep dissection. We're going to knock all of that out today. So here you can see the colored model, which again, if we see this, great. I have yet to see image test where we're actually testing this. So let's look at this. And if you look under cerebral hemispheres, the cerebrum, well, this entire thing here is the cerebrum. So everything that you see over here, that's all the cerebrum. All the entire part of the brain that you hold is considered the cerebrum, deep inside and what you hold. The very outside of the brain is called the cortex, and that we talk about more in lecture because of the fact that it's important for integrating information, sensory and motor information. All right, so here we've talked a lot about precentral gyrus and postcentral gyrus in lecture. Let's give you a marker here so that you know where you are. There's something called the central sulcus, and this central sulcus, again, we're gonna go back and forth under this area called the cerebral hemisphere, okay? It's right underneath brain model. So we're not gonna go exactly in this order. We're gonna go back and forth a little bit, but we're gonna stay here for a little bit. So this white line that I just made, or this white kind of squiggly area to here, that's called the central sulcus. The central sulcus separates the frontal lobe from the parietal lobe. Now, if you're wondering, this is all the frontal lobe, okay? Yay. And if you're wondering, well, this is all the parietal lobe. Awesome, right? We might as well fill out the rest of these. The yellow is going to be the temporal lobe, and the orange is going to be the occipital lobe. Okay, so there's 4 of your lobes right there. Now, should not shock anyone because they are all associated with the cranium or the bones of the cranium, so you should know that. Well, what you don't know is that central sulcus, and that central sulcus goes right down the middle. What you have in front of that in terms of central sulcus is called the precentral gyrus. And that precentral gyrus, I'm trying to get a good color, is red here, but I'm going to color it over it a little bit. So this is called the precentral gyrus. Pay attention to this area in lecture because it's really important for integrating motor information. But in lab, we don't care. We just care that that area of the frontal lobe is called the precentral gyrus. Behind the central sulcus there is the blue strip, which is called the postcentral gyrus. Okay? And that is important for sensory information integration. Okay, we talk about that in lecture a lot. So these are the two areas that you have. Well, there's three right here. You've got the central sulcus, the white line, precentral gyrus, that red part, and then the blue part is called the postcentral gyrus. And then I just went over relatively quickly the lobes. But again, the lobes are matching the same area as your cranium. So that should not come as any surprise. All right, we can't see the fornix, corpus callosum here. Visual association area is basically in the occipital lobe. So it's basically in this area here. And the visual association area is basically where we take other inputs in order to create a complete picture of something visual, right? So the information from our eyes goes back to the occipital lobe, but then we have a visual association area, just part of the occipital lobe that does integration of visual stimulus. Specifically light. We'll talk about that later. And then when we're talking about the auditory association, well, the auditory association has to do with the temporal lobe. So we've got auditory association here, and we're going to integrate information that's associated with hearing. All right, so that's what we've got there. Gyrus and sulcus. Sulcus is basically all of these grooves. So just like you saw with the central sulcus, we're going to look at all of these little areas here that are grooves, and these are all sulcus. So if there is a marker pointing at the occipital, we would write occipital or visual. We would have to ask you specifically, what area of the lobe is this, or what lobe is this? Okay, so yeah, we'd have to be specific. And that's why all of you guys read the question carefully. With 90 minutes, you have more than enough time. Take your time, because that was one common theme, is that people did not answer the question occasionally that was asked, right? So here you have to make sure that you don't give me the name of a muscle if we show the picture of a muscle and ask what's its function. That's just a way to just make an easy mistake. So make sure you're reading the questions very, very carefully. You didn't read the first 9. Wait a minute. How can that be? You didn't read the first 9. You didn't read the first 9? How can that be? Did you just, answer them? Oh. Oh, sorry. Oh, you just ran with it. Boom. I'm like, it's like the starting gate went up and you just went boom. Oh, no. Oh, no, I'm so sorry. Please, everyone, read everyone. You definitely have enough time, but watch your timing. I don't want to minimize time. But yeah, you have enough time. Read everything. I know after the fact, but you still have the next one. So reminding you of these things is a good thing. Yeah, there really is. But again, don't ignore the time, because you don't want to do the flip, right? You don't want to get to the end and find out, oh man, I really didn't pace myself well. But generally speaking, there's more than enough time. All right, guys. So with that being said, again, sulcus are the grooves, the part that kind of looks like it's indented here. And then the gyrus is going to be everything that's not a groove, basically, right? So let me do black. So everything that's not a groove, that sulcus, is a gyrus. That's it. Okay. Now, if we're going to ask for a gyrus, we have to be clear, right? We might want the lobe, or we might want a gyrus. Well, what part of the brain is this? We'd have to make sure that we're very clear in what we ask. So, all right. So that's awesome. You can't see the longitudinal fissure in this image. We're going to have to see another brain image. All right. So you can see kind of how we're doing it here. Now, here you can clearly see the longitudinal fissure. Right? It separates right and left hemisphere. Because we're looking at the back, this is the right and this is the left hemisphere. Okay? What you see here is you see all of, oh, I totally lied. Oh. meaning the central sulcus. So all the way to the center, I guess, is a better way to put it, like that. What if we get confused about a question, we're not sure what they asked for? Can we give all the... No, never give all the alternative answers. Never, never, never. If you give me a bunch of answers, I can't give you anything for it. So what you want to do is you want to look at the question. We're quite good at being clear of what we want, so generally it's not an issue. What you want to do is you want to give the best alternative answer, just one, right? Like, don't give everything, because I can't, no. Never give me everything, because then it looks like you're just giving me everything. and that's kind of like not a good testing strategy, because it means, to me, I'm looking at this saying, you're hoping one of these is right. Do you see what I'm saying? So as an instructor, don't ever give me everything. Give me the one thing you're like, it's got to be A or B. Do you know what I mean? Like, whatever that could be. So again, we're not going to put an arrow where it could be like, oh, it could be the association area, it could be the occipital lobe, it could be a gyrus. Like, we're not going to do that, right? If we're going to do something, it's going to be something between two things. If you give me 5 things, there's nothing I can do. So don't ever give me because if you give me every quote unquote possibility, 3 of them are not a possibility. Do you see what I'm saying? Every possibility is certainly subjective. So definitely don't give me every possibility. Read the question, make sure, because 9 out of 10 times it's the question. That's clear. You just got to read it again, right? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. So again, if it's something where it's like, oh man, the way the question's asked, the way the arrow's pointing, I can see that. Right? But if the question is clear, the arrow is clear, there's not much room for, and generally that's the case. 9 out of 10 times, the arrow is clear because it's referencing the information in the lab manual, nothing else, and the question is clear. So for a question asking for gyrus or sulcus, be asking for a structure. Lobes, be asking for lobes. The vision center, consider a structure. So I mean, for the gyrus and the sulcus. So for the sulcus, that's a little bit easier, right? Because you're pointing right at the sulcus. You know what I mean? Like, the sulcus is kind of between the two. The sulcus is a lot easier. Generally, you're not going to land on a sulcus and be like, man, in terms of what could this be? Just the way things kind of fall out in terms of just the visuals. So the sulcus is pretty clear, because you got to really get on that sulcus. There's got to be a real point, like a real emphasis to get on that sulcus. So the question would be more like a gyrus. You know what I mean? Am I talking about the gyrus? So we would ask it more clear. I can't say for sure, yes, if we want vision, we're going to say structure. But definitely if we want a structure, I think we would ask for the lobe, like, what lobe is this? And then for the structure, what part of the brain are we looking at? That's generally how that would break down. But again, if it's something where, okay, this is either the occipital lobe, I'm just kind of thinking, what way would we ask that? Again, I think we could ask for the lobe, but we could ask for what part of the brain is this? We probably would ask for the lobe. It's not risky. I mean, it really isn't risky. There's only a couple of these that have that kind of back and forth. And most of the time, the way that we ask for it is going to be a lot clearer. So I don't know exactly that. So I'm hesitant to say, oh, we're going to say structure for visual. I don't know. So I can't give you a definitive answer on that. Generally speaking, though, if we're looking for, what part of for example, precentral gyrus, what part of the lobe is this, right? You would want to say precentral gyrus or postcentral gyrus, because that's part of the parietal or frontal lobe. I don't know. I mean, again, for the visual association area, it's either going to be visual association area or so I think I guess we could ask for the lobe, and then for the visual association area, which is part of for the occipital lobe, we would ask for, what part of, I'm just thinking, how would we ask for it? On that, we might ask for what part of the lobe is this, for example, right? And that way, we're not asking for the lobe. Okay, so that's kind of what we would do there. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a little bit of room here, because I don't know exactly how they're going to ask it, so I can't be definitive about it, right? But just kind of again, I think they probably would say, what lobe is it for the lobe, or what part of the brain is this for the lobe? For the visual association area, auditory association area, most likely they would ask, what part of the lobe is this, right? And if they ask that, don't tell me the lobe. Do you guys see the distinction there? If they say, what part of the lobe is this? Don't tell me the occipital lobe. That's not what the question's asking. So just be mindful of what the question is asking. And again, obviously, we don't want to have any type of, we don't want to put you in a position like that. But if it's something where the question could go either way, then I have the leeway to say, okay, based on how the question was asked, based on what the arrow's pointing at, it could be either one of these. But you really have to read the question. So the issue is not going to be with this discussion we're having. It's a very, very small chance. The issue is going to be people are not reading that question properly. And I only say that because that's what I experienced looking through the tests and talking to people about their tests, right? So this is one very small, very, very small little potential thing that could happen. And if it does, where it's truly the way it's asked could be either one, then I will give you the point for it. So I wouldn't worry so much about that. I would worry more about comparing and contrasting and getting the nuts and bolts down, because that, again, this is a very, very small probability. And if it is one of those cases, I can give you the point. Does that make sense, guys? So read the question. That's the biggest thing, right? Because there's going to be very clear differences in terms of, was there a confusion in what we wanted, or was the question not read carefully enough? So it goes back to that. So again, like I said, if there could be two answers legitimately from the question and the arrow, then I can say, oh, I can see how that arrow and that question led to this, right? So I can give you the point for that. And I will, if that's the case. I'm not trying actively not to give you the points. So, all right. So I feel like we're good on that end. Just make sure you're reading the question, right? All right. All right, guys, good. So diencephalon, let's keep going because we can't see anything else from here. All right, so here we're going to have the sagittal view of the inside of the brain. So now we can go ahead and kind of see what we're looking at inside. Here we can see the corpus callosum. So this C part here is called the corpus callosum, and you can see it's labeled here. So if you'd like to kind of look at that, no problem. So that's an easy catch, if you will, because it looks like a C. The fornix is just underneath it. It's kind of like a little mini one, and I'm just thinking here. What? Hold on. And on this model, it would be the white part underneath here. Okay, for the fornix. So not the pink part for the fornix, because the end of the pink part is the epithalamus. Okay, so it's the white part here for the fornix. So the fornix is kind of like a little tucked in corpus callosum underneath that. Not the pink part, because we have back here, we've got the epithalamus, which we're going to talk about in just a little bit. There. Yeah, go ahead.
Miss Nicolette, so I was looking at the photos on Blackboard, and there are some color models on there, and I know we were told to use those to study for, the exams. Why would they give us the color ones if we are not? We probably won't see them, because I know for the midterm everything was for the beige color ones. So that kind of throws me off when I'm studying these models. So should I not study them with the color?
I will confirm, because maybe they're doing something different. Okay. From what so for example, in lab, so when I taught this over the summer, and there were no colored models to my knowledge. When we teach it in class, we have all the colors models out, but we never put any color models on tests. And I always tell my students that. So the color models are there. Now, I will double check, because it would be great, but it doesn't change the fact that you don't know which one you're going to get.
That's true.
So you have to still study the beige.
Right.
So, and the way that I approach the colored models anyway are use them as the way to enter the material, right? You know what I mean? Like start off with the color material, the models, then move into the beige materials. Either way, you don't know which one you're going to get. So you have to study them in the beige. But I can ask, but it doesn't change the fact that you're definitely going to get beige models. So it's a good question.
For sure.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I'll double check. It's just from my knowledge.
Just for, for those who are trying to really get it, the ones who are trying to bring up their scores and stuff for the final, I don't want them to feel misled with those color models. Because, I've taken a class before and I've never seen a color model on the exam.
Well, that's why I just said at the beginning. That's why I said at the very beginning, it's not going to be on there. So that's exactly what I wanted to highlight. So again, I definitely appreciate that. Thank you for bringing that up again. Trust me, I always appreciate kind of reinforcement and anything that I might miss. So thank you so much for that. I have a lot. And now I can double check and see, give me a sec, Gloria. I can double check and see if we might have that. But again, just as the take home message for now, I would not use the colored models as a way to kind of orient yourself and then hit those beige models. You'll definitely get beige models. So I wouldn't just focus on those colors because like Mayoski was just saying, I've never seen a colored model. And every time I do this anywhere, either in lab or online, I'm always like, listen, don't expect those colored models because it will screw you up. If you're expecting a colored model and you see a beige model, listen, that's different. Right. So I definitely am reinforcing this idea as well. And I'll do it again, just use the colored models as a way to enter into kind of studying and then dig into these beige models. But I can ask because maybe they will be a couple. But at this point, I would say don't count on the colored. Use it as a way to enter into the models, where things are, and really hit those beige models. And Gloria, did you have a question? Did you want to hop back on? So I appreciate that. No, it's good.
So what proves difficult for me is not memorizing everything. I think that's pretty straightforward. What complicates things when I'm studying is how many different pictures they give you.
I know.
Okay, so what am I supposed to be searching in this picture that I'm not looking at in this picture? And am I missing in this picture?
Yep.
Instead of them just giving me okay, identify these things on this picture. I want you to identify.
I know.
I know.
So, Gloria, you're not wrong. I mean, that would be rude if I said you were wrong anyway, but I'm like, Gloria, you're completely wrong. You're not wrong. And the biggest example of that, just it's not even just me empathizing with you. What did we do when we hit those muscle models? So far, the muscle models has been, and it's really the arm. The legs actually are not that bad because they're anterior, posterior, and lateral. There's a slight turn in the leg, but they're really, really clear. But you get to that arm model, and you're not wrong. So you have got to do what I told you to do, which is get all those images out. Circle that elbow for the back. Know your front to the back. Circle the elbow. Find your landmarks. Now, does it suck? It sucks. It does. I am with you. But anything on that list, except for possibly the colored brain, is fair game. So you are absolutely right. And that's why you've got to add this piece of strategy to your studying. Right? Whatever you see that jumps out at you in the images, you use that as a visual cue. And like I said with the arm, because that was crazy, that arm model, and then the arm is up, and then it's turned a little bit. It's oh my God, right? You turn a little bit, and all of a sudden you're looking at a different image of the triceps, a different head of the triceps brachii in the back. So you're right. So again, you've got to get these out. Compare and contrast. And that elbow, remember, I was okay, find the elbow, guys. And here's the little, I hated doing it, but the little hardware, remember the hardware on the lateral head of the triceps brachii, right? Not cool, but it is what it is, right? So you're not wrong. And it sucks. Listen, I empathize with you, but guess what? It's there. It's a thing. And that's why you come to class, you dig in the material, we work through it, and then you compare and contrast. So whatever you see jumps out at you, right? And then you're okay, I remember this model. This is the one where the elbow's kind of off to the side. This is the one where the elbow's over here. We don't have a ton of them, but they exist and they suck. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm with you guys. I totally feel you. And I know it but what we can do, because it's not going to change the fact that any of those images are on the final. right? So it means get the image where it's the clearest image for you. And then work on the associated images, right? The one where it's slightly turned. And I know it sucks, but that's why, guys, you gotta knock out the material weekly. If you've got some stuff to do, I understand, right? In terms of, well, I'm not completely done the muscles. But if you have not started this stuff, guys, don't do it. Don't do it. For me, it's really hard to find the pre-central and post. I know. It's tricky. So we're going to get there. We're going to see where it is. We're going to work it out. Okay, guys? So we're just going to do the best we can. And again, we're just going to kind of work it out so we can get that central sulcus as close as possible, right? Remember, there is some room. It's not a very thin strip. So we're going to kind of see that in a second as well. But starting with the colored model gives you that kind of at least a visual discrimination. But thank you, Mayaski, for also reinforcing it. I have not seen colored models. That's why the first slide was like, you're not going to see a colored model. Use it as a way to come into it. She's got your back today, people. She's just like, which, listen, it's true. Imagine if you don't study the beige models and all you've done is study the color models, and all of a sudden there's a beige model in front of you. You're going to lose your crap, right? So we don't want that. We want you to be kind of relaxed and into, kind of moving through the exam. All right, guys, so let's do this. Okay, so we just went through the corpus callosum. We did the fornix. We're not going to do, in this image, we're not going to do a posterior post-central gyrus, pre-central gyrus, because what you see in here is, and actually this is a good time to do this, this is the cerebrum, right? So all this part of the brain is the cerebrum. Okay, and that's the inside. Remember, that strip of pre-central gyrus and post-central gyrus, that's the cortex, the very outer part of the brain. So that would basically be analogous to like this part up here. We wouldn't do that for this image, right? But this is a good image to ask for there should be a question on the cerebrum. Let's see if there is. Somewhere there should be a question on the cerebrum. Well, it is, even if it's not on there. The cerebrum is going to be there. All right. The cerebellum, you probably have seen this before. Here's the cerebellum. So now, guys, orientation, right? Cerebellum is the back. Okay, that's the back. So there's your posterior. Cerebellum is the back, right? And then that means the other part of the brain, which is the frontal lobe, is going to be the anterior. So I put C there, which is cerebellum. I meant to put P for posterior, and that's A for anterior. Again, orientation. You guys have heard me talk about this over and over and over again. You can see how critical that is, because you want to do two things. And someone said this to me, I think in my Tuesday class, that every time they look at an image, the first thing they do is think orientation, which is great. I want you to do that. I want to brainwash you into looking at every image and knowing exactly what orientation you're looking at immediately. Right? And whatever that visual marker is for you, right? For example, in this particular image, well, that cerebellum jumps out, right? You're like, okay, that's the cerebellum. I kind of know where I am. Okay, that's the corpus callosum. Okay, that's the fornix here, right? And so these are things that are going to really cue and be not a trigger. That's not a nice word, but it's going to be something that's really going to, I don't have a good word for it. I'll think of a good word. Just when you look at it, you automatically recognize it. It's very clear. All right, awesome. I'd like to go through a couple other models for the brainstem, but let's go to the middle. Initiate. That's not bad. Initiate, jumping off point. That's not bad. Gloria's like, Those are all good words and emotions to express. Eureka! That kind of does all of it. Initiate and jumping off point. Eureka! I don't know. Let's do it, people. All right, so let's kind of go back to the middle, jumping out at you. Exactly. So let's go back to the middle here. So there's an area called the diencephalon. So now we're in that next part called the diencephalon in our list here. The diencephalon is the middle part of the brain, right? It's the middle part of the brain, and it's going to cover three areas of the brain. It's going to cover cover the thalamus, which in our book is called the thalamus with the intermediate mass. So you got to give me that. Why? The this little dot here is the intermediate mass. Now, it's also called the interthalamic adhesion. I don't like that. I like intermediate mass. That's easier for me. So, nonetheless, what we're looking at is right in the middle is going to be the thalamus with intermediate mass, okay? And then the hypothalamus, now this is where knowing your front and back comes in, right? We're not going to go right and left. We're not doing right and left. We're going to go anterior, we're going to go posterior, we're going to go superior, we're going to go inferior, right? Now, it comes into play here. The thalamus is right here. The hypothalamus is slightly anterior and inferior to the thalamus, which makes it here. Oh my gosh. Which makes it here. Okay? So this area right here is the hypothalamus, not the white part. This area here, that's pretty good. That area is the hypothalamus. So think about this. The thalamus is right in the middle, not a problem. Don't forget the intermediate mass. And if you go just anterior and inferior, you're going to hit the hypothalamus. Okay? Also, the pituitary gland comes off of it. Where it says 21, I cannot even read that number. I have no idea. There's something there. So I don't know. It's just this area here. If that's 21, yes. Don't ever memorize by the models, guys, by the numbers, guys. Don't do it. Yeah, whatever that number is, that's it. So how you want to do it is find the thalamus, go anterior and slightly inferior, and that's the hypothalamus. Now, that's going to help you in the sheep brain as well. Find the thalamus, go anterior and slightly inferior, and you'll find the hypothalamus. So you can use these techniques in multiple ways, okay? And again, how do you know what's anterior? Well, this is posterior, and this is anterior, right? Because you've established that orientation right off the bat. All right, with that being said, the third part of the diencephalon is the epithalamus or the pineal gland. Pick your poison. I like pineal gland because it's easier to spell, but epithalamus is fine. They're basically the same thing. Now, the epithalamus is the opposite of the hypothalamus. So you're basically going posterior and maybe a little bit inferior. So it's this part right here. I don't actually even like this model so much. You're going to see not that white one, not the white. I got to be clear here. The end of the pink. Okay, there. Not the white, not the white, not the white, guys. Okay? Yeah, that's it. Over a little bit. Over to the left a little bit. Whoever has that hand. I'll show you my hand. That's it. Right there, above the white. Right? Now, this ends up being pretty posterior to the thalamus. So yes, it's not the whole pink, it's just the end. I don't love this image. This isn't even one of your images, so we'll do it on another one as well. This is just kind of orienting you. And then let's just do a couple brainstem and we'll keep moving here. Okay, brainstem. Let's do pons because pons is easy. It looks like a P. Okay, guys? Pons. Midbrain. Midbrain is easy. It's right below the thalamus. Midbrain. Okay, and then we're going to jump to the end, medulla oblongata. Okay, guys, and then down here is the spinal cord. All right, so let's go to the next one. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna come. Here we go. So here's another image of this sagittal. Oh, I'm going to go back there. You mean this one? You mean this one, right? I'm going to come back. I just want to stick with this I want to stick with the sagittal image here. So, guys, here's what another image that you can see here, corpus callosum. Here's the fornix. Now, here's a nice image of that. So, Brisa, you said it, not the whole pink, right? Just the all part here, and only the pink, not the white. Okay. Now, here though, you got to be careful. Notice how the orientation is slightly different. So, here's the thalamus. Hypothalamus, epithalamus. Okay, guys? All right? Here's the pons. Here's the midbrain, medulla oblongata, brainstem. There is the cerebellum. The white part on the cerebellum is called the arbor vitae, and it means the tree of life. And that's actually under the cerebellum. You cannot see the vermis on this picture. We have to show you another one. Cerebellar peduncles, you also cannot see it here. Okay, so you can't see the cerebellar peduncles here, but so you can't see the cerebellar peduncle, but what you can see is the cerebral peduncle. Guys, now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, wait a minute, no, don't add something to the midbrain because how do I know if it's the midbrain or not? So one of the things you have is let me make sure you have it. Okay, under the brainstem, you have the cerebral peduncle. So guys, cerebellar peduncle is basically just a bridge between the cerebellum and the cerebrum. Cerebellar. The cerebral peduncle is the same idea, but it's in the midbrain. Okay, so it's part of the midbrain. So we would have to ask, what part of the midbrain is this? Why? Oh, sorry. What part of the midbrain is this? Why? Because that is the cerebral, not cerebellar, cerebral peduncle. And that is the part of the midbrain that comes off and connects with the cerebrum. Remember, all of this is cerebrum, right? And we've got two halves, which together gives us the right and left hemisphere of the brain. All right, so that is something that you want to be careful of. All right. Okay. And this here, what would be termed eye, but you don't want to think about it in terms of anything but location. Right, posterior to the midbrain, posterior to this midbrain is called the corpora quadrigemina. We're going to see the superior colliculi and the inferior colliculi on the sheep. So together, it's called the corpora quadrigemina. Okay, so midbrain. And look at this order here. In your book under brainstem on 140, it says mesencephalon, which is midbrain. Pick your poison, whichever one you like. The next one underneath that is corpora quadrigemina, superior colliculi, inferior colliculi. Just call it the corpora quadrigemina, trust me. Underneath that is called the cerebral peduncles. So let's look at that. The midbrain is here, right? That's the midbrain, just inferior to the thalamus, which is here, okay? Within the midbrain, you have this area, which is called the cerebral peduncle. It's just in there. We just know it is. But from this image, you can't see it. So we'd have to ask what area of the midbrain is this? And you would say the cerebral peduncle. Posterior to the midbrain is something called this part right here. That's the corpora quadrigemina. It looks, yeah, you can see it. It kind of looks yellow. I mean, yeah, that whole thing is not the cerebral peduncle. Just kind of this part up here. It's located specifically in the midbrain. So it doesn't extend into the pons. It's just part of the midbrain. Comes right off of the midbrain kind of on both sides. Yeah. So that's why we kind of say it's in this area here, but it's within the midbrain. So we'd have to ask, what structure is in the midbrain? And you would say this cerebral peduncle. And then posterior, again, is the corpora quadrigemina. Not the K, just that part right there. All right, so that's what we have there. So that takes care, I did not add this. Notice as we go down, so again, midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata, and what they want you to say is medulla oblongata with pyramids. This bump out part here is the pyramids of decussation. That's where the right and left motor axons cross over. Right hemisphere crosses, left hemisphere crosses, goes to the opposite side of the body, contralateral. So they want you to say medulla oblongata with pyramids, okay? But we would put an arrow just like this one. Right, so the arrow would go there to the medulla oblongata, and you would say medulla oblongata with pyramids. Again, what am I looking at? Page 140 under brainstem. Okay, so not that bad. Just watch your orientation. Right, exterior with the cerebellum, anterior with the opposite side, which happens to be the frontal lobe. All right, awesome. Okay. So here, they've got everything labeled nicely on this image. You see the pineal gland, superior colliculus, inferior colliculus. Together, they make the corpora quadrigemina. We've got have we got to the mammillary bodies yet? Do we need to know the mammillary body here? You don't. All right. And then the ventricles. You do need to know the ventricles. The mammillary body, I don't think on this one, though. I don't see, hold on. Under the brain model, I don't see now there, we do have to know the mammillary body. Yeah, in the median head. Yeah. So guys, watch that as well. It's a good point. It's a good kind of thing. Make sure that you're studying the brain models, and there's a couple of them, right? This kind of the sagittal one, this hemisphere model, the full brain model together, the cerebrum kind of one, and then make sure you're kind of focusing on the list, because we're going to see and it's in the same spot. It's the same thing, really. But when we get to the median head model, you missed a lot. What do you mean? Oh, not sure what you mean. All right. So again, sorry, Jaya, you're going to have to try to make it to class earlier, okay? All right. So let's look at the, where are we? So now we're going to look at the ventricles, because the arbor vitae is the white part in the cerebellum. Vermis, we can't see it here, right? We're going to have to see the back of the whole head, right and left hemisphere, because the vermis is basically, I think vermis means worm. It's basically the middle part of that cerebellum between the right and left part of it. All right. With that being said, we have ventricles. Now, the ventricles, the third ventricle, all right. So the ventricles then are going to be third, fourth, and in this image, we're not going to do the lateral ventricle. We're doing the lateral ventricle in the ventricle model. So watch that, guy. So the third ventricle is basically going to be in this area here, or they could go on top, right? So they could go underneath the thalamus or on top of the thalamus. Why? Because the third ventricle is a space that surrounds the thalamus, which makes it a little bit janky. So when we see the sheet model, there's actually a really nice groove that gives you a much better view of that. So again, basically anywhere around the thalamus, we could ask for that. So not at the thalamus, right? This is a good arrow for the thalamus with the intermediate mass. And then here, we're going to be on top. All right, so that's going to be the third ventricle. Fourth ventricle, we're going to be down here, as the thing implies, right? So that's the fourth ventricle here, okay? Where is it? It's right anterior to the cerebellum, or posterior to the pons, however you want to look at that. Okay, that's the fourth ventricle, third and fourth ventricle. In addition, we have this cerebral aqueduct, which is from the third ventricle to the fourth ventricle. Right there between the corpora quadrigemina and the midbrain, we've got this area called the cerebral aqueduct. Okay, all right, awesome. And then cranial nerves, not this image. We're going to get there. And then lastly, the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is very clearly, it looks like the little tiny boxing thing. Okay, that's the pituitary gland. All right. So we base it, or a bean. That's another way definitely you can put it. So except for the cranial nerves, which we cannot see in this image, we've covered all of the brain model, but I'm going to ask you questions. Now, there's your brain model. This is what you got to know. All right, guys, are you ready? Corpus callosum, go. That's it. Awesome. Big C, big C, big C. All right, are you ready? Fornix. Go, go, go. Fornix. Kind of little c, right? Think about it a little bit like that. That's right. Now, don't go too far out. Not in the middle there, guys. So the fornix is just the white part here. You guys see that? Just that part. Okay? You're gonna see this in the sheep as well. So that's it. Awesome. Where is the thalamus with intermediate mass, or in interthalamic adhesion, if you like, adhesion? Now, don't go too far. Just in the middle. That's it. That's the thalamus. That's it. Just in the middle. All right. Now, where is the hypothalamus? Where's the hypothalamus? You got to go anterior and then slightly inferior. Okay. We're off, guys. Watch this. Ready? Hold on, guys. Hold on. Hypothalamus is here. All right, guys, you see that? Not the white part. That's it right there. That's the hypothalamus. Right now, notice how the model is a little bit sideways. That's okay, because there is the thalamus. That's posterior. That's anterior. So we're going to go like this and down a little bit. Okay, that's it. That arrow, the person pointing, is correct. All right, awesome. With that being said, where's the epithalamus, right? Put them together, associate them. That's it. Just that pink. No, not the long one. Just the little ball at the end of that pink part. Not the long one. No. Guys, watch. Hold on, guys. Let me get in here. Yep, that's it. Just right there. Just the area of the very end of that pink part. Okay, just that. That's the pineal gland or epithalamus. Okay, guys? All right. Now, where is the corpora quadrigemina? That's it. Just that part right there. Yes, just that. Very good. Just that. Awesome. Where's the cerebellum? Good. Now, I'm not going to ask for it because, it's kind of hard after that, but the arbor vitae is the white part, right? So we would have to ask what part. What we might do is we'd have to ask something like, what part of the cerebellum is this, right? Because it could be either one. So if we point, so here's an example, guys. This is a good example of what we talked about earlier. If we point to this and we say, what is it? And you tell me cerebellum or you tell me arbor vitae, and we don't make it clearer than that, both of those are right. You see, right, guys? Now, if we ask what part of the cerebellum is that, and you say the cerebellum, you're wrong, right? So again, read that question carefully. So double points. No, just losing points. Again, so this is an example of that type of question that you guys had earlier. If all we do is put an arrow and say, what is this? Or whatever, something like that. The answer could be cerebellum or it could be arbor vitae. So if we need to be clearer if we want this, if we want whatever, the difference between them. Otherwise, I will give you the correct points. So again, just make sure you read the question carefully. That's the big thing that might be affected here. All right, where is the midbrain? That's it, just that area right there. Now, that's also the area where we have that cerebral, cerebral peduncles, not cerebellar peduncles. So we have to be clear about that also. We have to say, what is in the midbrain? And you would say the cerebral, what is in this area? And you would say the cerebral peduncles, right? Again, if we're not clear, and we just give you an arrow at that, if we just give you an arrow, we just give you an arrow here, and we're like, what's this? And you tell me, it's the midbrain, or you tell me, it's the cerebral peduncle. Both of those are correct if we're not clear. But if we are, you've got to make sure you're reading that carefully. All right, does that make sense? Honestly, you're okay. That's like a small percent of a possibility of things that you want to focus on. All right, and then where's the fourth ventricle? That's it, right by the cerebellum. Good. Where is the cerebral aqueduct? Or if you like the mesencephalic aqueduct, that's fine too. I like the cerebral because it's easier. All right, now don't go too far. You don't want to go into the fourth ventricle, right, guys? You just want to go between this area. Yeah, just in that area, just here. That's where you'll get the arrow. All right, with that being said, I'm just going to remind you the third ventricle could be underneath the thalamus or on top of the thalamus, because really, remember, the thalamus sits kind of within that third ventricle. The third ventricle is a space. It's like a triangle fourth. Yeah, it does. It does. Yep, it really does. Awesome. All right, guys, let's do one more. Pituitary gland. Yep, just right there. Awesome. Good job. Very good. Okay, guys, let's keep going. Now here, again, here's just a highlighted image. It's got the cerebral aqueduct nicely. The pineal gland is not, remember, it's the pink part, not that K. Shows you the fourth ventricle, the pituitary. Don't worry about this nerve. We don't look at it from here. There's the hypothalamus. Again, take your picture. All right, let's go, go, go. Now, the right image is Kimberly Dutton. We are looking at the ventricle model. Okay, now I want you to understand something because this is counterintuitive. The ventricles are spaces. Imagine that what we've done here is poured some sort of substance into the space and that substance hardens. So what you get is a model of, Estella, is this good? Is this one you wanted? I'm assuming that's a yes. Okay, so what you get from that ventricle model is the spaces. So where in the brain, the lateral ventricle is a space, the third ventricle is a space, the fourth ventricle is a space. There is a pipe that goes into this space called the interventricular foramen between the lateral ventricle and the third ventricle, the cerebral aqueduct between the third ventricle and the fourth ventricle. Okay, good. I don't know what TY is. Oh, thank you. Okay, I got it. Wow. Oh, listen. Forever, I could never remember, ATCG? Forever, I could never remember adenosine and tyrosine. Never. I mean, I'm teaching this class, and I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. That's what it means. Oh, Lord. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. All right, so back to this image. First of all, it's all labeled on the left, so hoorah. But again, we are literally like pouring something into a space and showing you that space. With that being said, lateral ventricles are superior to the third ventricle, which is here, right? And then here is the interventricular foramen. I should change that color. Here is the interventricular foramen. This is the cerebral aqueduct. And this down here, that's the fourth ventricle. All right, guys, you see that? Not that bad. It looks like a weird bird, actually. But anyway, whatever. So the bottom line is most superior, ventral. Okay? This one is the third ventricle. It surrounds the thalamus. And then this is the fourth ventricle, right? Superior to inferior. And then between them, that is the interventricular foramen. That is the cerebral aqueduct, right? And you can see it all labeled on the other side. So, awesome. Okay? Not that bad. It has everything you need. You're good to go. All right, guys? All right, awesome. So that's not bad. The whole left side of that page we got. Now, this one, even though there's a slight orientation, it's still going to be the same. So basically, where's the lateral ventricles? Yeah, technically it goes all the way around, but usually we just kind of focus on the top. Yeah. Okay, where's the third ventricle? Remember, there's no second, there's no first. I don't know. Yeah, it's right there. Exactly. It's just that area there. Now, where is the fourth ventricle? Yeah, you got to go down. Exactly. Now, I'm going to erase this. Where is the interventricular foramen? Here, it's really small, so be careful. Yeah, on the left, yeah. On the right, move over, guys. Here, let me show you. So on the right, I'm going to erase this for a sec, guys. Hold on. It's this. All right? And you can see it here. On the left, it's super easy. All of the left. So the right, make sure you're just kind of focusing on that. And then the cerebral aqueduct is going to be here between the third and the fourth ventricle. Boom. Done. Brisa, go ahead.
So as far as this part goes,
yeah,
would that not be the third because that's the hypothalamus, or?
I see what you're saying. It's basically just think about it like this. I think this might be helpful. Think about it more with the because we can still have an area, we can still have a space, because all of this stuff that you see that's gray is a space. So that would be fine. Like we can still have a space, but the way I would focus on it is I would focus on this being the thalamus and everything around it is the third ventricle. I don't know that I've ever seen us actually point to this as an example of the third ventricle. Theoretically, we could, because it's not the lateral and it's not the fourth. But generally, we kind of focus on this area here. Did that answer your question? Yeah, I see what you're saying. But I wouldn't think about it that much. Just kind of focus there. Now, I guess theoretically we could ask for this. Yeah, it does look like a little bird. It's just normally we're in this area. Because remember, and another way to reinforce this is the idea that you've got the interventricular foramen, right? And so it kind of goes right there. All right, so it's going to be around there. I mean, you could extend it to all of that. That's fine. It's not wrong. All right, awesome. Good job, guys. Okay, so median head model. Now, I always try to find something that's labeled, and this is the only thing I could find that's labeled. So it's kind of crappy labeling, but it's actually not that bad if you really need it in a pinch. Because you can you can zoom it out. Like I have a touch screen, so I can just go and like zoom it out. So it's not bad. But here again, this median head model, where are we? Page 140, very top. What do we have? We've got the corpus callosum again, right, guys? So we're here. Now this is nice, right? Because we could ask kind of the same things. Corpus callosum there, fornix here, thalamus here, epithalamus here. I know I'm going fast because we did this. Hypothalamus here, pituitary gland there, guys. Right? You see that? You got that pituitary gland? That's it. Okay? So, yeah. Oh, that's in the Atlas, page 160? Sweet. Thanks, Diana. Awesome. Yeah, so you want to definitely use all of your resources for this. Just, again, going over what we already know. That's the corpus callosum. That's the midbrain. That's the pons. Ooh, that's an ugly color. Hold on, I'm going to go black. Corpus callosum. Corpora quadrigemina, midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata, with the bump out, the medulla oblongata. Here they just want the medulla oblongata. Brainstem here. Cerebellum. Oh, on page 104. Great. All right. Yes. Question. Go for it.
Sorry to ask another question. So I'm looking at
No,
the
please
graph.
do.
I transferred all of the slides into PowerPoint. So I'm
Great.
looking at all of the because I while we're in class, so I can make sure I'm following along. And the models that I see in there aren't. It seems like it's only the same type of look. So, like median head model, that would be the one that's kind of like
This one.
See,
That's the median head model.
I don't see
So-
that one in Blackboard in our pictures.
Give me 1 second.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
No problem. Because they definitely want. That is a median head model, though. Just FYI.
Yes. That is true. Absolutely. I don't see it unless I'm missing one. If I'm missing one, correct me. But
Okay, let me go here and just check. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
So I'm looking on Blackboard, guys. Hold on. Am I in the right place here? I am. The nervous system muscle images for lab midterm. Go down. Show some images of dissected and models for lab midterm. Okay. Cat muscle, eye, ear, muscle models, muscle fiber, dissection sheet, nervous system, histology images. So this has got to be under the nervous system. So I'm going into the nervous system folder, neuromodel, brain, nervous system. I'm going to go into the brain link underneath the nervous system, underneath the thing. There's only one there. Okay, let me see what else we have here. Nervous system, spinal cord, cross section, ventricles, nervous system.
So I'm following along with you because I logged right in.
I feel like someone. Has anyone found that model
You
that
know
I'm
what?
talking?
It's there. I see it.
You see it? Where is it?
It's closer to the one with the plexus. That's where it is.
Yeah, I have
It's
it from the
closer
left
to
screen.
Mhm.
Okay, so you see it in there then? Okay, because
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
good.
sorry. That's my
No.
apology. I had to
Do not
check.
apologize. If there's one person who has that question, I'm sure there's more. And Melinda, you said it's in the individual. Oh wait, so is it under the individual folders,
Yes.
Melinda?
Uh-huh,
Is that where it
yeah.
is? Okay, thank you. All right, so okay, so Mayoski, am I pronouncing your name right?
Mayoski.
Mayoski, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
You know, it could have gone either way. So.
It's all good.
Mayoski, thank you. So, no. I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people might just be going to the lab folder final. So, guys, yeah, make sure that you go in and you get all of these the headings all straightened out, right? So this image here is the median head model, and if it's not in the final, then definitely go search for it because I don't want you to be like, oh, it's not in there, and like not study for it because that would be not good for you. So no, it's an important question. All right, guys. So with that being said, again, it's the same model, right? Obviously, our picture's a little prettier just with our camera. The only thing I'm going to add to this image here is the frontal sinus, shocking no one there. The sphenoid sinus, shocking no one again. Pharyngeal tonsil, guys, right? This here is called this tube is called the pharynx. We've got a nasopharynx, an oropharynx, and a laryngopharynx. You don't have to know about that till next semester. But if you keep that in mind, you'll know that this is the pharyngeal tonsil. Now, be careful. I don't think we'll ask for anything else back here, but there's a lot going on. This is the pharyngeal tonsil. You guys got me? That's the pharyngeal tonsil, okay? It's basically inferior to the sphenoid sinus, sphenoidal sinus. All right. Superior sagittal sinus, guys. The blue. You see this up here, guys? I should make it white. This is a superior sagittal sinus. All right, awesome. Cranial meninges. Guys, watch. I'm going to make it black. Here's the cerebrum, right? That's the brain. The cranial meninges is the white line on top of the brain. You with me? That's it. Right? Exactly. That's a cranial meninges. It's just going to follow right here. We can't see the dura separated from the arachnoid matter, separated from the pia. That's why they just want you to know cranial meninges. Okay, now here is the mammillary bodies. Now, the mammillary body is, hold on, here. You guys see that? This is the optic chiasm. So be careful. It's an easy miss. What do I mean? Orient yourself around that pituitary gland, right? Pituitary gland is right here. The pituitary gland is right there, okay? If you think right posterior to the pituitary gland, that's the mammillary body right there. Or maybe a better way is there's the midbrain, right anterior to the midbrain. That's the mammillary body. So that's another way to think about it. Either orient yourself around the pituitary gland or the midbrain. Here is the optic chiasm right up here. And let's see, and you need to know that as well. So maybe it's better pituitary gland, because then you know, okay, if you go pituitary gland, if you go posterior, you're going to hit the mammillary body. If you go superior, you're going to hit the optic chiasm. Yeah. Make the pituitary gland your point of reference for these two. MM. Oh, MM for mammillary body and midbrain. Yes. So however you want to do it is up to you, but just make sure that you associate them together because they're easy to mix up. It's such an easy switch that you want to just avoid that. All right. We already know the corpora quadrigemina. We did that over here. Fourth ventricle, boom, boom, boom. Third ventricle, anything kind of underneath or on top of the thalamus. Point out again. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to use I'm going to use the pituitary gland as my basis for the mammillary body and the optic chiasm. Chiasma. So this is the pituitary gland in the middle, right there. That's the pituitary gland. Posterior to the pituitary gland is the mammillary body. Okay? And then superior to the pituitary gland is the optic chiasm. You got it, guys? That's what I think. Now, Shannon was like MM. She was like midbrain, mammillary body. That's a good one as well, because you've got that. The mammillary body is anterior to the midbrain. All right, awesome. Good job, guys. We did pituitary gland. Cerebellum is here. We know that. We know the thalamus, hypothalamus, epithalamus. Cerebrum, guys. Cerebrum. Now, guys, pay attention. Are you ready? Listen. Guys, here's my tip. Remember the concern about, do you want a lobe? Well, if you look at the median head model, do we ask for a lobe in the median head model? No, which means if we point to this, we don't want a lobe. We want the cerebrum. Same and similar to the cerebral hemispheres, we don't actually ask for the cerebrum in the other brain model column. We ask for the lobes. So keep that in mind so you don't give me something that we're not asking for, because we're not asking in this median head model. If you look through all of our lists here, there is no lobe. So if we point to this, don't tell me a lobe. This is the cerebrum, right? Because all of this is the cerebrum. Okay, guys? So watch that. That's also your tip there. Be careful. All right. What's new that you need to know here? We did the mammillary body. We did the optic chiasma. All of the rest we know. All right. Let's do it. Ready? Frontal sinus. Go. Awesome. Frontal sinus. Good. Ready? Sphenoidal sinus. Give me the A-L. Like frontal. Oh, no. That's the middle nasal concha. Yes. Guys, this here, these are the nasal concha. So stay out of the nose here. That's the sphenoid here. Good. All right, awesome. All right, guys, are you ready? Pituitary gland. Yes, careful, down. Come together, down. Where the purple is. Good, very good. All right, optic chiasma. Now, notice the optic chiasma looks a little different here. It's got a little bulb here. That's it. You got to go superior to the pituitary to get to that optic chiasma. All right. And then, remember, guys, this stuff is in your atlas as well, okay? You're not stuck without it as long as you have an atlas. All right, and then, yes, now that's a mammillary body. Oh, come back. Yeah, that's the mammillary body. All right, guys, good job. Cerebrum. Where's the cerebrum, guys? Median head model. Awesome. Superior sagittal sinus. Blue. All the way around, guys. Blue. Follow it. There you go. Good job. Okay. Meninges. Just the white part, right around the cerebrum, right around the brain. Exactly. We can't separate it. It's not detailed enough to do dura, etc. All right, awesome. I'm just going to do one more so we can keep moving because we've already done this. This one might be tricky. Corpora quadrigemina. Again, I'm not going to go over all of them because we already did it. Corpora quadrigemina. That's it. Right there. Good. You can think about the corpora quadrigemina close to the cerebellum. Okay, guys? All right, awesome. Good job. So we're going to keep going. Pharyngeal tonsil. Sorry. Wait, yeah, pharyngeal tonsil. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Good job. Very good. Awesome. Everything else we covered in the other model. Actually, we did this already. So we're good. All right, guys, awesome. Good. This is the same thing, is exactly the same thing. It's all the same thing. All right. Now, just before you get confused, don't get confused, okay? What we're doing is we're going back to the brain model and we're doing the cranial nerves, okay? But I want to introduce you to the cranial nerves. So I have this lovely model that's labeled, but it's in the opposite orientation to your colored model, which is the easiest one to start with. So don't freak out. Look what I did with Kimberly. I flipped Kimberly upside down. Okay? Why did I flip Kimberly upside down? Because now we are in the same orientation. Okay, guys, you see that? Because I want to introduce this to you and show you some of the pitfalls, okay? This is the brain model. We're going to go back. We're done with the median head model and all the way down to the cranial nerves. These are the images you need for the cranial nerves. I know. So you're not going to get an image upside down on the test. You're not, right, guys? We know this. It's just I am easing you into the information. Okay, guys? So with that being said, this is actually quite straightforward. Just ignore this being upside down. All right. So what do? We're going to start with, if you remember that we have 12 cranial nerves, which you should get into flashcards and memorize them, people. But literally they go like this. 1, 2, this is not any, that's a mammillary body. 3, 4, I'm going to do it again, don't stress. 5, 6, I'm going to do it this way, it's easier. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is the spinal cord. Okay, so let me do that again, and then I'm going to do it again. So, 1, I'm not going to do the Roman numerals because it takes too much space, but try to do the Roman numerals. 1, 2, not the mammal, these are mammillary bodies. 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not, it's off a little bit. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, for this model, you only need to know the first 5. Now, guys, the first 5 are the first 5 cranial nerves. In other words, olfactory bulb and tract, number 1. Cranial nerve, number 1. Optic nerve / chiasm / tracts, cranial nerve number 2, which is the optic nerve. Cranial nerve number 3 is the oculomotor nerve. Okay? Cranial nerve number 4 is the trochlear nerve. Cranial nerve number 5 is the trigeminal nerve. So that is in order. And as you can see here, we have that order like that. Do you see what I'm saying, guys? So if you think about it that way, it's not so crazy. Now, in this page, you only have to know 1 to 5. Okay? Which is olfactory bulb and tracts, optic nerve, optic chiasm, optic tract. Just put all of them down. Just put optic nerve, comma, chiasm, comma, tract. And I'm fine with that. Okay? That's for cranial nerve number 2. Cranial nerve number 3, oculomotor nerve. Cranial nerve number 4, trochlear nerve. Cranial nerve number 5, trigeminal nerve. So again, it's in order, right? 1, 2, mammillary bodies, don't do this. 3, 4, 5. Those are the 5. I know I've done this like 3 times, but you can see how much easier that is. Okay, guys, you with me? Now, on the next chapter, exercise 19, it does say cranial nerves 1 through 11, and that's fine. We're going to go over it. But definitely know these, because these are more likely to be on the test, straight to be quite honest with you. So know your 1 to 5 without a doubt. Okay, guys? All right. Did that make sense? Did that introduction kind of make sense? Of course, it's labeled over here. So, all right, good. So as you can see, if you start with the olfactory nerve, number 1, then you go in order from 1 to 5. Okay. But again, guys, this is the mammillary body, right? That's the mammillary body. It's not part of the nerves. The third nerve, which is the oculomotor nerve, is here. Watch. And I'll do this a couple more times. Yeah, whoever did that that was great. Good job on the green. This is it. Basically, the oculomotor nerve is right beside the mammillary body. That's it. Right lateral to the mammillary body, which is this and this. Lateral on both sides of the mammillary body is the oculomotor nerve. Okay, because this is the optic nerve. This right here is the optic nerve. Now, when we get to the sheep, you're going to see that that what we're talking about here is an X at the optic nerve. There's an optic nerve, which is this. There's an optic tract, which is the bottom part of the X, and then there's a optic chiasm, which is in between there. That's what we talk about. But most of the time, what we're going to do is we're going to go to this area, and you're just going to tell me optic nerve, chiasm, tract, like comma, comma, comma. All right, there. Now, that's Kimberly Dutton, okay? Again, I have not seen them use the colored ones, so use this as a way to study. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the little line here, that's 4. Okay, whoa. Did I do that? I might have done that. Anyway, all right, guys. So for this image, that's what you have to know, okay? Again, I would just practice being able to recognize 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do a line. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Oh, my God. Something's wrong with me. 1, 2, over more. 3. Oh, that's good. 4, 5. Would you mind showing us on the Oh, yeah, I'm going to get there. Don't worry. Don't worry, Mowski. I got you. All right. So does that make sense, guys? Do you see how I'm kind of moving into it? And it's not that bad. Now, if we were to keep going, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I got to double check. hold on. And then we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then it goes like this. 6. Oh, that needs to go over more. 6, going from the midline, it goes 6. Because there's 3 here. That's why. And I just can't get that 6, 7, basically like that. 8. Okay? 6, 7, 8. 6 is at the midline. So that's how you know it's 6, because it's the one that's closest to the middle here. So 6, 7, 8, 6 abducens, 7 facial, 8 vestibulocochlear. And then we go hypoglossal here, hypoglossal there. All right, but the first 5 is this one here. All right, and here we go. Are you ready? Same thing, guys. We worked our way up to this. Now, this I do not believe I flipped. I might have. Did I flip it? Hold on. I don't think I flipped it. Did I flip it? Did I not unflip it? Now I didn't flip this. Did I flip this one? Okay, sorry guys. If you're gonna flip it back. So, sorry. So here it is again. 1, 2, you can barely see 3 here. You see there it is underneath the pituitary? 3, 4, 5. Literally the 5 in this order. Olfactory, 1. Optic nerve, 2. Chiasm tract. Oculomotor nerve, 3. Trochlear nerve, 4. Trigeminal nerve, 5. That's why I keep just kind of focusing on the numbers for now. I don't think so because the numbers are written correctly unless it's flipped. I see what you're saying. I'm not sure if it's flipped. Regardless, if it is flipped, it looks like if this is flipped because I flipped it incorrectly, it'll simply look like this. And it doesn't matter if you focus on what we've just done here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think the base is correct. So I think I did flip it. And that's okay, because you're just going to do the same thing, right? You're going to start from here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I'm not using the names because they're right in front of you, and I want you to focus on being able to order it. But again, olfactory, blah, 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 blah. They're all underneath here. Now, this one is not flipped. You only need the first 5 for this one. But on the next chapter, exercise, it does say you need to know all of them, which I'll show you. But right now, this is all you need to know. So, for example, same process of what we just did, right? 1, 2. Watch that mammillary body. You can't see the oculomotor nerve here, which sucks. But they could possibly label it like that. Does that make sense? And then here is 4, 5. You guys see what I just did? Let me do it again. 1, 2. It's very, very hard to tell. And I don't actually think it's this one. It's not that one. You can't actually see it because if you look on the left, you see, that's the oculomotor nerve. And they have it flipped up. Exactly. 5, you can't, it's hard to see, but look, study that because it is right there. Do you see that, Shannon? Yeah. So it's there, it's just light. But what is this is the third cranial nerve, the oculomotor. And notice that you can't actually see it. It should be like there. But they could ask for it. But everything else is clear. 1, 2, mammillary body, not thing. It should be here. This is 4. And yes, it is hard. You got to really focus on that 5. All right. Now, again, I'm only saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't tell me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need you to tell me olfactory bulbs and tracts, optic nerves, oculomotor. Don't give me the number. I can't give you points for numbers. You got to give me the whole name. Okay, guys? I just wanted you guys to focus on where is it, because 1 is olfactory, 2 is optic nerve, 3 is oculomotor, 4 is trochlear, trigeminal for 5. Okay, you with me? All right. That's what we're looking at here. And here you can see all of the other ones labeled. So let's finish the other ones now, just so that we know we've got that. Again, starting with the midline, it's facial nerve, right? Which is where we have facial nerve, which is 6. Then going lateral, we have 7. I'm sorry, I called facial nerve 6. It's abducens 6. Abducens 6, facial nerve 7, vestibulocochlear nerve beside that is going to be 8, right? So midline, And then you're going to go lateral with 6, 7, and 8. 6, 7, 8. You guys with me? 6, 7, 8. Okay, midline, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Midline, 6, 7, 8. And then not this, that's brainstem. Then we've got the hypoglossal here, right? And we are going to have the 10, 11, 12. This is very tricky. We generally don't ask for it, but you can see it here, the last 3, right? They're literally 10, 11, 12 in that order, right? Here. Ooh, did I lie about that? Hold on. Glossopharyngeal, 9, 10, 9, 10, 11. Sorry, guys. 12 is the hypoglossal here. 12 is here. Yeah, it is 9, 10, 11. Sorry, Brisa. So here is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 6, 7, 8, and then like this, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. I know, seriously. All right, does that make sense, guys? So these 3 here, midline out, 6, 7, 8. And they're literally cranial nerve number 6, abducens cranial nerve number 7, facial cranial nerve number 8, vestibulocochlear. Okay, so that's not bad. Here then, thank you, 9, using the numbers for clarity, 9, 10, 11. Glossopharyngeal, vagus, accessory, and then it's this one here that's hypoglossal, which is 12. I know, sorry. All right, focus on the first 5, though. The first 5 have a greater probability, but just kind of go through it. And again, don't give me the numbers. I'm giving you the numbers now because the numbers correspond with their names, and it's just easier to just kind of, for you to recognize the numbers. All right, guys, we got to go. Now, where is cranial? I'm just doing the numbers now, guys, only for ease, but you've got to tell me the name. Where is cranial nerve number 1? Again, I'll tell you what it is, just so that. Good. Cranial nerve number 1. Good. Well, I want you to tell me the whole thing. Olfactory bulb and tract. Good. Perfect. Where is cranial nerve number 2? I'll tell you the name. You just tell me where it is. Optic nerve, chiasm, tract. Good. Where is cranial nerve number 3? Yeah, it should be not there. That's the mammillary body. Not there. Down where the green is. It should be where the green is. That's where it should be, where that green is. Exactly. That's oculomotor. That's number 3. All right, number 4, guys. Where's number 4? That's it. That's going to be the trochlear. Now, I'm only doing numbers for ease. You got to know the names. All right, now where is number 5? Yeah, that's it. Good job. It's hard to see, but you got to practice that. That's right. So number 5 is the trigeminal. Now, 6, 7, and 8 go midline. That's it. 6, midline. 6, back to the midline, guys. That's it. That's 6. Go 7. 7 is lateral there. From there. Yes. Go 8. 1 more lateral. That's it. Right? So it looks like this. 6, 7, 8. Trying to give it a little bit of room there. Right? 6, 7, 8. You can't tell me 6, 7, 8. You have to tell me. Sorry. I had a brain fart. Abducens, 6, facial, 7, vestibulocochlear, 8. It's just the numbers for now because it's just, we're just making it as easy as possible. Now, then you go to 9, 10, and 11. 9. It's basically a general area, right? 9, 10, 11. 9, 10, 11. And then this part here, 12. Yeah. All right. Not that bad. Focus on the first 5, but just know the other ones. And again, guys, can you show me 2 again? Yeah. 2 is here. Thank you, whoever did that. You're right. That's it. That's 2. Now, remember, guys, for ease, we're using numbers. The numbers are correct. I want you to tell me what the cranial name is of that number, right? It goes 1 to 12. Are you guys with me with that? Don't tell me the number without the name. I can't give you a point. All right, guys? All right. It's just while we're here right now, you can find the number, and then obviously you just memorize the name with the numbers. All right, awesome. Yeah. All right, good job, guys. Whew. Let's knock out the sheep, and then we'll get a break because we need a 5-minute break. All right. So again, use the Blackboard images. It could check under the images for the final, and then check under the individual lessons as well. Make sure you get everything. So here is just an image I got from online. This is the dura mater, thick connective tissue. Okay. Now, it's in this image that you will see that superior sagittal sinus as a thick blue line. You will see the sagittal. I'm making a sagittal sinus here. I didn't see one in the images that I have, but it looks like somebody in my other class said it looks like a shrimp vein. I don't know if that helps anybody, but it is in this image because when we take off the dura mater, usually a lot of that vein gets pulled out. Yeah, like a poop strip. That'll work. And it's usually going to be in this image because, like I said, when it's a dark blue line at the top. It's right above that longitudinal fissure because that's where it is. That's where it is. It goes around the brain, right? All right, awesome. So let's keep going. Oh, by the way, where are we? Page 140, sheep brain dissection. Also, guys, you do have some labeled things in your book, which is great. So if you flip to 138 and 139, there's some labels there. Okay. All right. This is just another image with the dura mater. That's it. Okay. Now, here they can ask for the lobe. So usually we're going to see that in an outer lobe where we've removed that dura mater, right? You can't really make out much with the dura mater on the brain. You really have to remove that dura mater. So that's dura mater, which is very obvious. This basically the kind of shiny stuff you see would be the pia mater. You can't actually see it. And if you try to take it off, it just comes off in like almost little flakes, right? So what we have here is you can look at this as a good image for the lobe or the top of the sheep brain, not the bottom. We can't see the lobes there. How do we know where we are? Brain stem, remember orientation. Brain stem, that's going to be posterior. That means that's the frontal lobe, okay? Remember, the sheep is quadruped, so it's going to have more of a horizontal type shape brain as opposed to our brain that's tilted a little bit. And then we've got the brain stem that goes pretty horizontal with an absolute horizontal spinal cord. That's not the case here. The pia mater is visceral of the deepest part. The pia mater would be kind of considered like visceral. It's right on top of the brain. All right, awesome. So if you're looking for the lobe, which we have temporal lobe, occipital lobe, you want to make sure that your frontal and parietal, it's going to be where we're looking usually at the top of the lobe. We also want to know the gyri and the sulcus. Yeah. So again, the sulci are going to be the areas that are grooves. They're all the black here. I'm making them white. Do you guys see all this black part? Those are the sulcus or sulci. Sulcus is 1, sulci are 2. That's it. Now, that means that the gyrus are going to be everything that's not the black part, right? That's the beige part. Okay, all of this part here between the black part is going to be the sulcus, gyrus, or gyri. It doesn't matter which one. All right, so with that being said, superior sagittal, the superior sagittal sinus will be with that dura mater. If not, it's definitely going to be right on the longitudinal fissure, and it's a dark blue, so you can't miss it. And again, pia mater is just going to be the area, all the shiny stuff on top of the lobe, on top of the actual cerebrum. You can't see the longitudinal fissure here. We have to wait to go inside for the rest. All right, so let's keep going. Okay, so this image, this is going to be an inferior image. So it's like we're taking the brain of the sheep and we're flipping it upside down. Now, what can you see here? Well, you can see, if you go down the bottom of this list, the sheep brain dissection, we have the optic nerve chiasm tracts, olfactory bulb, and olfactory tracts. Now, we just did this on the brain. Now, this is the olfactory bulb, and that's the olfactory tract. See that, guys? Right there. Here's the spinal cord. Here is the olfactory bulb and the olfactory tract. So you're going to say olfactory bulb and olfactory tract if we put any arrow like that. Okay, guys? Why? Because it says it here, olfactory bulb and tract. All right, that's what we're looking at. Now, Optic nerve. Now, it's kind of small. This one's an actually really nice image on the left. It's an X. The nerve is this part on the top. The tract is the part on the bottom. The space in between where they meet is called the optic chiasm. That's why we just want you to say everything. Optic nerve, chiasma, and tract. Which is right there. Right? It's an X. The bottom part of the X, tract. The top part of the X is the nerve. Okay? But it's all just one. We want you to say optic nerve, chiasma, and optic tract. So we could put an arrow. We can put an arrow here. Theoretically, we could put an arrow here. Right? That whole X is called the optic nerve, optic chiasma, and optic tract. All right, guys? Sound good? All right, good job. Now, we can't see the ventricles yet, but we can see the cerebral peduncle. So, before we get there, though, we should have mammillary body. Now, you see these you see little balls here? 2 little balls? Mammillary bodies. Mammillary body is right by the X. This is going to be posterior spinal cord, anterior frontal lobe. Find the X, and right by the X, I guess it would be just posterior to the optic nerve. You're going to get the mammillary bodies. Okay, guys, you see it right there? Takes a little bit of time because they're all the same color. So we don't have a color distinction here. So you want to make sure that you're definitely spending a little bit of time. With that being said, right beside the mammillary bodies, you're going to find the, not a good color. You're going to find the cerebral peduncles, not the cerebellar, the cerebral peduncles. There's your peduncles. Okie dokie, guys? So right beside, but lateral to the mammillary body, you're going to find the cerebral peduncles, right and left. Although we don't call them right and left, but that's what it is. All right. We can't see anything else. Oh, that's a lie. We can. We can see the pons. Guys, pay attention. In this image, you cannot see the midbrain. Why? The midbrain is closer into the brain, and it's covered up at this point. It's closer in, so it's by the thalamus. Right, guys? So what can we see like this? Just flipping over the brain and looking at the inferior part of the brain. The pons and the midbrain. Right? Now, here they just want the, I called that the midbrain. Oh my gosh. No. Medulla oblongata. The minute I wrote the M, I messed myself up. Medulla oblongata, pons. All right, guys? You cannot see the midbrain here. You can see the pons. You can see the medulla oblongata. And this is the spinal cord. Yep, that's it. Let me see what else we have here. You can't see anything else in this image. You can't see anything inside because it's covered. And that's what we have on the outside. Okay, guys? So where's the olfactory bulb and tract? That's it. You got to go the opposite end of the spinal cord. Okay, good. Where is the optic nerve, tract, and chiasma? That's it, right there at the X. Perfect. Where is the mammillary body? Yep, just keep going down. Start from the bulb and go down. Where are the cerebral peduncles? That's it, both sides lateral to the mammillary body. That's it. Where, and I'm just going top to bottom. In other words, I'm going anterior to posterior. Where is the pons? Because you can't see the midbrain. Go down. Yep, that's it. Bump out right there. Now, where is the medulla oblongata? That's it. Where is the spinal cord? That's it. Awesome. And of course, here you go. You can see this. On the left, it's all labeled. All right, guys. Good job. All right. We just did that. All right, awesome. Now, this is where we flip the sheep brain, and we're looking at the top of it, superior. So here, as you can see, you've got a clear longitudinal fissure, white longitudinal fissure. This is where you would see the superior sagittal sinus with the dura mater. It would be just right here on top of this longitudinal fissure. And again, here we could ask for frontal lobe. Why? Because this is posterior, right? Anterior is frontal. Occipital lobe is going to be back here. Parietal lobe is going to be here, right? And temporal, occipital, frontal, parietal. Oh, temporal. Guys, side, right? It's going to be just the side here. Because I don't think we have the lateral image of the sheep brain. So it's got to be the side. All right, awesome. So the superior sagittal sinus is the longitudinal fissure with dura mater. So you will find the superior sagittal sinus above the longitudinal fissure, kind of attached to the dura mater. So it's not the longitudinal fissure. Yeah. So there is a distinction. You will find the superior sagittal sinus above the longitudinal fissure, and it's usually attached to the dura mater. That's why it's gone when you rip off the dura mater. It occupies a space above that area. I mean, yeah. For our purposes, yes. All right. Now, there should be an image that looks like this. I don't have it on the slide deck, but last time we should have an image that looks like this. And it looks like a bum. So if you notice this, it looks like a bum. It looks like a little troll bum. Well, the little troll bum is the superior colliculus. Yeah, it looks just like that. So that's the superior colliculus. Now, notice that we have these separate here. And what you don't see is, I mean, we do have the corpora quadrigemina, but usually we separate it. So if we put, like, just like this image has an arrow there, that you want to call that the superior colliculus, the bum. Underneath the bum is the inferior colliculus. So this is a good image, the way it's labeled, because we can label it like that. As long as we have this image. If we don't, it's best just to call them the corpora quadrigemina, because it's hard to tell where they start and end. But here you can see the bum very clearly. We wouldn't ask for the pineal gland in this position. It's just very hard to see, so I wouldn't worry about that. And in order to see the superior and inferior colliculi, you have to push down the cerebellum. So you actually have to take the cerebellum and push it down so that you can see the superior and inferior colliculi. And there's also the longitudinal fissure. So that takes care of that. The falx cerebri is it's the dura mater that goes literally into the longitudinal fissure. I don't know that I've ever seen a picture that actually shows it though. But it's like your sheet that goes over your bed, right? In this case, any of the dura mater that goes into the fissure is going to be the falx cerebri. It just is going to drape into that longitudinal fissure. All right, we saw this again. Let's just keep going. We are not asking for the cranial nerves here like this. Oh, cranial nerves. Yeah, we're not asking for them here. The only ones we want is the optic nerve. We've already talked about that. The olfactory bulb and tract, optic nerve, tract, and chiasma. So don't let this image scare you. We definitely do not go through all of that on here. Okay, now, we do go through this. Are you guys ready? Remember what I told you about the thalamus in the middle, okay? Where's the hypothalamus? Well, first of all, posterior, anterior, right? Here is the thalamus is going to be right in the middle, very easy. And then you want to go anterior and slightly inferior to get to the hypothalamus, right? And then the pineal gland is usually very clear in these images. Again, posterior and slightly inferior to the thalamus. So let me say that again. Posterior, anterior, right? Thalamus. Anterior, slightly inferior, hypothalamus. Posterior, slightly inferior, pineal gland. And then here is the corpora quadrigemina. That's the superior colliculus. That's the inferior colliculus. Together, they make the corpora quadrigemina. Okay, guys? Everything else is relatively straightforward. Yeah. Is that crazy or not bad? I'm not sure. My OC's like, no! So again, guys, orientation. You got to get it right off the bat so that it's easier. Posterior, anterior. Thalamus is easy. Boom in the middle. Go anterior, slightly inferior, hypothalamus. Go posterior, slightly inferior, pineal gland. And then right by the pineal gland is the corpora quadrigemina, or superior colliculi and inferior colliculi. And then as we're going through this really quickly, guys, we have the midbrain, where just right underneath the thalamus, we have the pons, we have the medulla oblongata, we have the brainstem, spinal cord. I don't know, that's not what I mean. S is the spinal cord. All right, again, using the same, everything we saw before. This is not a good this is not a good corpus callosum because it's broken. I'll show you our corpus callosum. All right, this is our image, really pretty. All right, guys, ready? Where is the thalamus? Always go with this, the easiest things to locate. Now, we already know that this is posterior, then this is anterior. Where, I'm going to erase that. Where's the hypothalamus? Where's the hypothalamus, guys? Oh, we're all over the place here. Yep, the green one. Whoever put the green was right. Anterior and slightly inferior, right? So the hypothalamus is, let me erase this, guys. There. Oh, hold on, sorry. It's right. Can I get you guys to move for a second? Yeah, it's right here. Okay. Not this, right? Not that, because that looks like the, hold on. It's the optic chiasma. That's the optic chiasma, and that's the mammillary body. Okay. And then here, where's the corpus callosum? The corpus callosum is very pretty here in this image. Yep, that's right. Where's the fornix? Just the top part. Where's the fornix? Hold on. Yep, that's it, the bottom part. Now, here we can ask for the third ventricle. Watch. Hold on, guys. Here. This is where we'd usually do the third ventricle. Oh, that's an ugly. Hold on. There. See that nice kind of slit there, right above the thalamus? That's where we do it. Okay, where's the fourth ventricle here? Because they want that. Go hit up your cerebellum. That's it. That's it. Go find your cerebellum. No, oh, too high, guys. Fourth ventricle, right here in the space there. Got it? It's not a big space on this picture. Okay, guys? So third ventricle is going to be right there, space just above the hypothalamus. Fourth ventricle, yep, where that blue heart is, exactly. Now, with that being said, where is the, now in this image, you can see the superior colliculi and inferior colliculi clearly. Where is the superior colliculi? It's right by the epithelium. That's it. Where's the inferior colliculi? Good. That's it. Good. Now, where is the pineal gland? The pineal gland is right there by the superior colliculi. That's it. That's it. Right there. Wait, are we right? Yes. Yep. That's it. Good, good, good. Now, where is the cerebral aqueduct? Because they do want that. Hold on, guys. Cerebral aqueduct. Oh, not that, not back there, guys. Careful, careful, careful. I know what you're doing, but there's actually, that's like outside. Yes, the blue line. Yes, the blue line. That's it. Yep, 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 yep. That's it. Good job. So be careful about that space behind it. That's where you move the cerebellum and you see the butt, the superior colliculi. All right, awesome, guys. Good, good, good. So I think we covered, oh, okay. Tell me where, now you definitely can see the midbrain. Where's the midbrain? Oh, too low. Yeah, yeah. Whoever did the gray, that's the gray. Awesome. That's what I want. Good, good, good. That's the midbrain. Awesome. Now, where is the pons? Yeah, see, yep. See how that bumps out a little bit there? That's the pons. And you can go back a little bit towards the cerebellum. Yeah, but that's fine. Just to focus on that. That's fine. All right, guys. Medulla oblongata. Down, 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 down. Yeah, the green. The gray. Again, good. Whoever's got the gray, good job. Very good. Awesome. Did you see that fourth ventricle? Look at that. Oh, good job, Risa. Go for it.
All right, just real quickly.
Yeah.
Can you see my little hand here?
I can.
Okay. So this is the hypothalamus, not right
Yes,
here,
ma'am.
right? Just right here.
Exactly.
Okay.
Just move it a
I
little bit
just wanted
over.
to-
Yep. You got
Okay.
it. You got
All
it.
right.
Good job. All right, guys, that's it. Good. So now you guys see. So you should have most our labeling for this. Well, just take the screenshots. You know, it's not a big deal. So, but now you can see that we've repeated everything like 3 times. So the list is pretty much on the left, and we've just repeated it. So this is diencephalon would just be the exactly. So the diencephalon would be. Hold on, let me make sure I get this right. Hold on. I don't want to go too far. Basically just this area like that, right? With the thalamus being in the middle, the epithalamus or pineal gland being over here, posterior, and then the hypothalamus being anterior, slightly inferior. Yep. Awesome, guys. Good job. All right. So make sure you go over this tomorrow, because you've got it, right? Like it's there. It's like it's finding a home in your brain, right? It's settling in. But if you leave this and come back to it, even in a couple days, it's going to suck, because it's like you didn't spend the time today doing it. So you've got to reinforce it immediately. You got to knock it in there, right? Get the glue in there, which is the work. And then you're going to really be able to keep what you've learned today. If you give it a couple days, you're going to forget a lot of this. I know. So that's why what's best is to follow this up tomorrow and just reinforce it. And then spend a little bit more time on Sunday, reinforce it. Because it just sucks for you guys to come to class, be super engaged in the material, which you're doing great. And then you give it a couple days, and what happens is it disassociates. And you start to kind of lose it a little bit. So make sure you're following up with this. So that's it. We are good. I'm happy to say that we knocked out. Now, I didn't go through everything here because, we've kind of already seen it in different ways. Did we ever see the vermis? I don't think I showed you the vermis. Let me see if I have something here. Not something else. Sorry, that's. I don't know. Hold on, guys. I don't think I have an image of the vermis on here. It's basically. It's hard to see. You really have to go from the back. It's basically the cerebellum. It's the the cerebellum. Hold on, guys. The cerebellum looks like this, right? Underneath the brain. And it's the middle part right there. That's it. It's just, for some reason, I don't have. Oh, here it is. Wait. You can see. Okay. That's it. Sorry. So this we would not give you in this image, because you have to look right at the back. Sorry about that, Brisa. I know that sucks. Okay, it's like underneath the brainstem. It's this part here. So they have to flip it over and show you when the cranial nerves are underneath, and it's literally just the part right in the middle of the cerebellum. That's it. Yeah. All right, guys. Awesome. Exactly. It's a cerebellar butt crack. Exactly. Good job. All right, guys. Okay, so let me get back here so that we can start fresh. Okay, all right. So let's take a 5-minute break. I have to go to the bathroom. And